What is happening? What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on into this edition of Eagles Talk Live. We are live from the MacBook here today, talking a little bit about the Birds as of right now, of course, as the Eagles have completed their first preseason game this past Friday. And as we are looking ahead towards our next preseason game, will be in Cleveland. We have obviously the week practice here for them, but obviously want to talk a little bit about the game, a little bit of our takeaways. Obviously, we got to see our first taste of the Eagles against some actual competition. There has been some news and notes as well that's been going on with the Philadelphia Eagles. We got some fights in camp going on here on Monday, on Sunday as well. And it's been a lot of fun. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the Philadelphia Eagles real quick before we dive into today, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, make sure you guys, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe for more Philly sports as we continue talking Philadelphia Eagles and Philly sports in general for sure. But on Friday, the Philadelphia Eagles in Game One, 24-21 loss to the New York Jets as the Jets' third and fourth stringers got the best of the Eagles' third and fourth stringers as they pulled off late 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to get their dub here against the Philadelphia Eagles. But of course, the storyline heading into this one, a lot of people wanted to know what exactly Jalen Hurts would look like. What would Jalen Hurts look like with some of the new weapons that he has? Obviously, heading into this year, a lot of the expectation is that this Eagles team will be good, but a lot of it is riding on Jalen Hurts and what he will do here for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, I mean, if you looked at this first series, I mean, obviously we had one series with the starters. He looked really good. I thought Jalen Hurts looked really good. I do understand that some people are going to be really critical of Jalen Hurts, and that's just the nature of being the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. But I wouldn't say like you should read too much into the first game because it is preseason, and obviously there are some things that need to be still worked out on. I mean, obviously, let's first get off. Let's get to the game. So let's get to the instance, the first drive here for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense. 6 for 6, Jalen Hurts went on that first drive. Jalen Hurts finished not only just 6 for 6, but he also threw 80 yards. Of course, the touchdown that we'll get to in a second. But watching that drive, and typically. Excuse me. When it comes to football and soccer, I really am big on the fast forward and the rewinding. In that first drive, I did a lot of that, trying to break down exactly what I was seeing on a lot of those drives, a lot of those plays. And what I saw in that first drive, Jalen looked really composed, but he kept the offense in rhythm. And that's the main thing that I'm looking forward to going into this year. Looking for Jalen to keep this offense, to keep these guys into rhythm. That's something he really did struggle with as well last year. But these guys really got into rhythm. And he was reacting and just performing on what the Jets defense was giving him as well. We saw a little bit of hurry up offense there too, and I loved that. I love the up tempo, especially when you got the speed that this Eagles offense does have, and that definitely helps with it as well. I love the ability of Jalen Hurts. A lot of people are going to kill. A lot of people want Jalen Hurts to be the prototypical stand in the pocket type of quarterback and pick apart a defense. But the thing is, in today's NFL, a lot of these elite quarterbacks that you're seeing, besides your Tom Brady's, and I guess Aaron Rodgers kind of lost it, but mobility is very big, and a lot of these quarterbacks do have that. So you can't fault Jalen Hurts for leaving the pocket. I thought the throw, rolling out to the right hand side, feeling the pressure from the D tackle right behind him, and being able to deliver a great ball to Quez Watkins, and Quez was able to doing his best impersonation of Devontae Smith with the toe drag as well. Obviously, the late hit is the one that we're all going to be discussing and talking about. Of course, we don't typically expect that in preseason, which is crazy enough. But I think the best part about it was you love to see the the Eagles players and coaches standing up and sticking up for Jalen Hurts. Obviously, that's like, okay, no brainer. Like, obviously that's what they should be doing. But seeing Jordan Mailata sticking up for Jalen Hurts, seeing Nick Sirianni flipping the F out, I thought that was great. And that to me just shows how tight knit of a group this Eagles team really is, and I thought that was really spectacular to watch and see. Now, one thing I will say, you really can't control a late hit, right? But that was a 3rd and 5 situation, and if we didn't get that late hit, we would have been off the field at that point, and we probably wouldn't be talking about this great first drive that it was for the Birds. But it is preseason, and there's still a learning curve for Jalen Hurts and for this offense in general. But overall, I really did like what I saw. There was one play on that drive where you had four wideouts, and they were all running sticks on a cover three, and Jalen Hurts saw that that they were covering all their receivers as they were going downfield. And then instead of, I feel like last year Jalen would be trying to make a move with his legs, but he had all the space in the middle of the field right in front of him, and he just dumped it off to Miles Sanders. And Miles Sanders also had two catches on that drive. And that's the maturity that you want to see from Jalen Hurts. Of course, gets capped off by a nice Dallas Goedert touchdown where he dives in backwards, and the Eagles get on the board. And that's how you start off the season or at least this preseason, with the 7-0 lead. And that's how the first team offense would leave it. And it is clear, this Eagles offense is not going to be the same as last year. The run game will obviously be an element to this offense because when you have the best lineman, the best offensive line in the NFL, the best running team in the NFL last year, you're more than likely going to still stick with that. But you can't just be a running team in 2022. You have to have the pass threat. You have to be able to throw down the field. And so you like to see them on that first drive, seeing the composure, seeing them being able to feel comfortable with the passing game, and those are definitely things you love to see. I thought Zach Pascal looked really smooth with the second unit. That's one guy we need to kind of remember. To me, he's just an absolute upgrade from J.J. Arthur-Whiteside in the fact that Zach Pascal is not scared to get down and dirty and get some blocks going. But also Zach Pascal is someone that can still catch. He can run good routes. He has strong hands. And I think that this is the best. They make the joke, but I think it is true. This is the best fourth wide receiver that the Eagles have been able to have. So I think the one thing that also really caught my eye was the rookies. A lot of the criticism of Howie Roseman has been his inability to replenish his team with young players through the NFL draft. Last year was a good draft class, and I think that this year is going to be the best draft class under Howie Roseman's regime. Jordan Davis looked spectacular, and his partnership with Nakobe Dean out there was great. And you kind of saw why Georgia last year was so freaking dominant. I mean, when you got Jordan Davis, what's Jordan Davis? 320 pounds. It's at 6'8", 6'7". Like, he's a freaking monster truck, ladies and gentlemen. And when you got so much push, you guys saw obviously the picture on Twitter where there was like 4 Jets offensive linemen trying to defend and trying to guard Jordan Davis. That was absolutely hilarious. But having Jordan Davis being able to provide that push up front, it allows these linebackers to make plays as well, especially when you're talking about teams who want to run the ball on the Philadelphia Eagles. This Eagles run defense is going to be pretty freaking nice. They were pretty solid last year, I feel like. Problem was last year that the Eagles struggled to get to the quarterback, and a lot of defenses were able to pick them apart. And when you had Jonathan Gannon running a lot of this soft zone without putting any pressure at and providing no blitzing to for this defense, that was part of the issue with it. And I thought Nakobe Dean looked really good. I think PFF gave him an 85.1 rating for this past week, which, me, don't really care for any of those stats, but I think it's worthwhile to notice. But when you watch the tape, you saw it. You saw the speed, you saw the recognition, you saw the pure power that this young man has as well. And this was a kid who was supposed to be drafted in the middle of the first round, but due to his injuries, he fell really behind. It was really crazy to see that Nakobe Dean fell so deep that he fell to the third round because of his injury. So I thought he did a really good job of showing us what he provides with Jordan Davis. And of course, Cam Jurgens as well looked, honestly, like I watched Cam Jurgens and I thought I was watching Jason Kelsey. Now listen, don't think that he's going to be Jason Kelsey from day one. There's still going to be a learning curve. He still has to figure this out. Everyone's still killing him for the Jordan Davis the practice that they had, but he is going to be okay. And you saw the athletic ability by Cam Jurgens. I think that's the one thing that caught my eye. But he held his own, and I think he had a really good bounce back. Don't listen. Those practice videos don't hold too much rating on that one. But listen, at least you like seeing Jordan Davis getting after it. So the draft picks have been looking really good. Obviously, the offense looked really solid as well. And so, despite the loss of the preseason game, I mean, you definitely don't want to see them losing that way. But I do feel like overall, this Eagles team looked really solid. At least the things that we had question marks on looked really solid in preseason game 1. All right, so we kind of move forward. Obviously, after that, we head into obviously back to practices and back to training camp, and as we prepare for preseason game 2 against the Cleveland Brownies. Yesterday we had a practice, and this practice, if we had to give it a title, um, Andre Dillard, looking like Debo out there. Andre Dillard, I don't know what has been clicking in his head. He's obviously been someone who's been labeled as a somewhat of a draft bust, I guess. I don't know if it's kind of fair to call him that. But he's kind of lost his job to Jordan Mailata. He's been a backup tackle here since his draft days, since 2018, I should say. And yesterday, and there's also been this narrative of him being kind of a softie. There was that picture a couple years ago where he's looking like he's crying. Last year you had Josh Sweat, BG, pancaking him essentially, and he struggled. And then yesterday, I don't know if Dillard took a little bit of the Debo Kool-Aid this past offseason, but you got Andre Dillard getting into it with guys like Derek Barnett and Patrick Johnson. And it was really caught by left field because that's not something we've seen. We haven't seen that side of Andre Dillard. Maybe Dillard's had enough. Maybe Dillard feels like, hey, I'm being disrespected too much. It's time for put up or shut up. I got to show people what I have and what I can do, and I belong on this team. And so he really went after it, and it was really crazy to see. But he really was the focal point of practice yesterday. Devontae Smith was also back. Obviously, we all know he's been dealing with that groin injury, and Jalen Hurts was targeting him heavy. Obviously, A.J. Brown's been the one that Jalen has been targeting a lot throughout practice with the absence of Devontae Smith. And it was interesting that in the first preseason game, Jalen Hurts not targeting him not once. So as Jalen Hurts in the press conference, he will get his. And that's going to be the important part. We've talked about that. I want to see how that chemistry is going to go. If Devontae Smith's not getting the balls, if A.J. Brown's not going to get the balls, we all know how receivers like both those dudes typically are. How will they react to that? And that's definitely something that we're going to obviously keep our eyes on. But it's been really fun watching like just the secondary battles. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown versus Bradbury and Darius Slay. It's really going to bring out the best out of all these freaking players. And of course, you have the safety position. There's still a lot of competition. Jaquiski Tart at least was able to come back, and that was definitely good to see. Really happy to see Jaquiski Tart back out there. I want to listen. It's gonna be tough. Like we said, it's not as guaranteed for him to make the squad as many people believe it to be. But I do believe that he's gonna have an opportunity. He's gonna show that he belongs on this team at least in some sort of capacity. Reed Blankenship is someone to continue to keep an eye out. We talked about him before camp. He's been impressing. He also impressed during the preseason game. He had 6 solo tackles as a safety, so he's a guy who likes to get after it. And we'll see what his role will look like going forward. But he looked very comfortable in practice and in the preseason game 1. The linebacker core I really want to talk about real quick because to me the linebacking core has really looked impressive so far. And for the first time I feel like in my entire, no, I shouldn't say that because the Eagles have had like solid, serviceable linebacking cores. The Omar Gaither, Stuart Bradley, Chris Gokong days, like I thought those were serviceable linebackers. The D'Amico Ryans days, like you had serviceable linebackers, but I feel like now we have playmakers in this core. TJ Edwards has taken another step in his game, and his problem was in coverage. Obviously, linebackers have to cover a lot more, and when you're coming from Wisconsin, it's not really a lot of covering you're doing over in Badgerland. But he's definitely taken his game to the next level. Everyone thought the thought was he would lose his job to Nakobe Dean, and TJ was like, "Hell no, Rook! You're gonna have to wait for your damn turn." And he's solidified himself as the Mike. Kaiser White obviously looked really good. He got an interception in the preseason game, and you're seeing his athletic ability and why why the Eagles went out to get him. For JG, guy who likes guys who are versatile, you could put him almost anywhere in the defense, and he's gonna produce. And you still got Davion Taylor here. I'm sorry, you have still Michael Bradley as well, who's someone who he's been a special teamer, but has been someone who's made it known that he wants some snaps at linebacker. He believes that he can do it as well. Patrick Johnson's still hanging around as too. So the linebacking core for the first time in a long time looks pretty damn solid. Well, it looks pretty damn solid. You got some playmakers. You got guys who can do a little bit of everything. And so for a guy like JG who likes that versatility, I think that it's going to bode well for the Birds and for this team as well. But, obviously cuts are on its way. Sirianni made his first cuts. He already cut offensive lineman William Dunkey and Sam linebacker Ali Fayyad. And according to Kevin Kincaid, it looks like J.J. Arthur-Whiteside is as good as gone. He might be the next round of cuts. He didn't even see the field during the preseason, and so that is definitely something worth noting. It was kind of a long shot for him to kind of make the team as a tight end. He couldn't even produce as a wide receiver. I mean, even though you're a tight end and even though you're a good blocker, you still have to find a way to produce on the offense. So Josiah Scott is another one that you guys should keep an eye out. He's been turning heads as a safety as well. So there are some nice camp bodies out here for the Eagles. But overall, it's looking good, man. I'm excited. We're getting closer to football, and I just want to see some more. I'm ready for week 1. I'm honestly just ready for week 1. I don't need to see any more preseason. And I'm sure after what we saw after preseason game 1, we probably don't need to see the starters for game 2 and game 3. You got some good battles. Obviously, you didn't even see Carson Strong. You saw Reed Sennett getting a lot of the snaps. Maybe in game 2, you'll see a lot more of Carson Strong. But there's a lot of more those lower end camp battles that we need to see and we need to figure out. But it should be a lot of fun. But of course, we'll have another episode of Eagles Talk Live this week. We'll actually be live talking about the Eagles, and of course, we'll continue looking at more camp notes. And this week we'll be looking and breaking down the offensive line room. We'll be looking at that position. But guys, thank you so much for tuning on into this little short edition of Eagles Talk Live, looking at the preseason game, looking at some camp notes, and Andre Dillard just deboing everybody. But thank you so much, guys. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe for more. And until next time, I am in Parcero, Philly, and I'm telling you guys, go Birds. Talk to you guys soon.